There are other worlds than these. All things must return to their forward position. We are all on the universe's clock, and if we do things out of order or unravel the tapestry that was painstakingly sewn for us, then consequences will be dished out. There are other worlds than these, and some aren't too comfortable compared to the one you currently are living in. Please imagine an endless hallway where a sickly yellow wallpaper covers the desolate walls, where twisting corners lead you through beckoning doorways to endless rooms where the carpets are always wet and mold grows in the corners. Now, would you please also imagine an image at the corner of your eye? You can't feel whoever or whatever it is that's right behind you, breathing down your neck. But when you turn, all you see is nothing. A shadow drifts behind you, and footsteps linger in the soaking carpet. You think perhaps it's just you. After all, you've been walking for seemingly hours, perhaps in circles. These footsteps have to be yours, and the lights above you shine from phosphorescent long bulbs like the ones in your office space. The shadow was yours, no doubt about it. But what about the breathing lingering on your neck? You will see your black index turn to page 199, where a Polaroid of a blank office space with yellow wallpaper is taped to the page. To the average person, this would be a mundane room, perhaps still under renovation for some new business that had just moved into town. To others, it resembles an abandoned space, where maybe a hotel was being worked on, but was now left dead to the world. Each person interprets the back rooms in their own way, and when one manages to exit one level of the back rooms, they'll find themselves in an entirely different space. To their dismay, they're not in the outside world as they had hoped, but in merely another level of the back rooms. If you've ever watched The Twilight Zone, you may find yourself flying through that door in space-time, traversing the spaces between, only to end up in the back rooms. It's where the world seemingly ends, but also begins, and it's all because you decided to break the fourth wall. To the tight-knit community that has managed to either communicate with the outside world or has escaped the back rooms, they refer to these moments as no-clips. To no-clip, you must first take the not-so-obvious path, perhaps forcing your way through a door that shouldn't, and truly couldn't, be opened. Perhaps you do step on that crack on the sidewalk despite all those old wives' tales we've all grown up with. Alice would have a word with you if you decide to stick your head down that rabbit hole, or perhaps it would be too late for her to warn you, and you'd be gone from this plane of existence. However, the Chester Cat would not be there to greet you, only the damp air of an under-renovation building where the glue on the walls is soaking through the wallpaper, and mushrooms are growing at the corners of every room you decided to enter. As far as anyone can tell, there is no tried-and-true escape method. You must simply keep walking, turning around every yellow corner till you find a door. From then on, the only thing you can do is pray that it leads outside, instead of another enclosed space. Among the list of names and dates next to our Polaroid on page 199, we find a man named Jared Fabio, dated 1981. A cursory search will find a missing persons report for a man living in Michigan, working as a security officer for the now-defunct company DRI, Distance Incorporated. Plenty of videos line the internet of people trying to solve the case, but none of them have come close besides those that decided to stay quiet about the back rooms. Jared's last day on the job, as far as anyone could tell from the security video evidence, ended at hour 1956, when he seemingly left through a door that did not exist in the break room, but would have connected to outside the parking garage for employees. The video shows the other side of the open door as pure static, no real image of the parking garage. Field researchers of the time for the Black Index had interviewed other security guards for the DRI. Each of them had a memory of the door despite it not existing, and each of them related that a small construction project was done to tear down the door as it was too drafty for the break room. Despite all memories correlating to the door existing, further research into the blueprints of the building showed that it indeed never did exist. Such riveting details, we know, but where things get real interesting lies in the analysis of the room itself. From what we can tell of body cam evidence on the field researchers, the hallway leading to the break room varies upon each person's own experience. Sometimes it's negligible, maybe an extension of a couple extra feet, while others find themselves seemingly wandering a long corridor that twists and turns till eventually they meet the break room, and all memory of having wandered a labyrinth is gone. Jared is survived by his mother and father, who still hold out hope for their son to come back home. His body was never found, but his name still lingers in the halls of the DRI between guards and staff biologists alike. The break room has gone unused ever since, and the open to the public cafeteria has become its substitute. He was lost, presumably never to be found, but he will come up again soon. Keep your eyes and ears peeled. Nothing goes unturned at the Black Index. Next on the list, we see a series of lines of numbers. The more tech-savvy of you should recognize the numbers as ASCII. A simple translation into Google will pop out a blog post URL with two separate smaller series of numbers. When using the URL, you'll be met with a home screen asking for a username and password. Putting in those two separate numbers we translated earlier, we find a single video. The blog has no updates beyond the single video with a thumbnail near completely black posted on July 29, 2005. The video is shaky and distorted with a man breathing heavily behind the camera. We are never shown the man, nor are we given a name, but his voice is deep with a very thick German accent. He mumbles under his breath now and again, talking about a woman named Amelia leading him to an abandoned factory. By piecing together some of the story, we at the Coalition have determined that the building was once owned by the DRI. Research shows only a single facility located in Europe, Heidelberg, Germany, but it had closed down sometime in 1983. Our field researchers have closed off the area and will be updating the Black Index as information comes in. Please stay tuned on that front. For now, we have the matter of an unnamed man in the back rooms. He trembles as he walks through the wet carpet, sometimes observing the peeling yellow wallpaper. Now and again, he stops to pray, but not for long. He talks of a feeling on his back, as if he knew something was just behind his window of vision, following him, so he would get back up, after perhaps a 10-second reprieve, and then continue. Those of you with keen eyes may have seen something lingering in the corner of the camera now and again. Its shadowy figure looms close by, yet our explorer doesn't seem to notice it. Without much research, we at the Coalition would much rather not give too many specifics on what exactly this may be, but without a doubt it does tend to linger behind, perhaps for the sake of food, or simply fear. Not all beasts are in want of food in the traditional sense that we know. Some feed off of pure emotion, which this one might tend towards, although we are uncertain. At the 35-minute mark, a man sitting in the corner of the hallways appears. He is wearing a guard uniform completely soaked in what we can only assume is either sweat or urine. He is mumbling to himself, mumbling in English. Our videographer calls to him, yet the man does not respond. After calling to him again a few more times and then finally making contact, grabbing him by the collar, do we see the man react. His eyes were sunken, and his face was thin. His hair was completely matted, and his fingernails were chewed to the bloody base. He says his name was Jared Fabio, a familiar name to those paying attention, and asks our German friend for a way out, his voice thin and wispy. The German speaks in his best English, but Jared looks him in the eyes, agitation filling the now bulbous veins in his neck, and he grabs him by the collar. He yells at the top of his lungs, the humming, "Why won't someone turn off the damn lights?" Jared then screams a frightful scream and throws the German to the ground, sending the camera to the ceiling before coming down on the wet carpet with a thud. He turns off into the labyrinth of the back rooms, leaving our guide to pick up after himself. The German curses under his breath, trying to get back up, only for him to be lifted into the air. He can't get a good look at whatever it was lifting the man beyond a set of thin black legs in the frame. The man screams before a crunch resounds in the air, and his body is thrown from view. The last thing we see is the creature, or whatever it was, stepping away from the camera, before several minutes of low buzzing from the overhead lights, and then finally the camera shutting off from its dying battery. We at the Black Index advise those of you adventurous types to set your limits. The last thing you want exploring an abandoned building is managing to fall through the floor to some inescapable basement. But what you don't realize is that there is an escape, and it's through a door on rusted hinges unattached from the wall, with a low hum emitting from somewhere behind. Lights flicker when you open the door, and as you step in, the only thing you see is an office space. Too bad the door behind you is gone, and you're only left with your thoughts, an infinite set of rooms, and whatever's lurking in your peripheral vision. Take heed, listeners. Read your Black Index and make sure to take your next steps wisely. You may never know where they might take you.